I help you? Take your hands off. Hello, I'm Scott Rogers. I'm going to be showing you the Kyusho-jitsu pressure points of the head, the neck, and the torso. The head, the neck, and the torso are the primary targets that we go usually after the arm points and the leg points, which were previously discussed. Reason for this being is that in the head, the neck, and the torso is the greatest chance to cause unconsciousness. In a self-defense situation, the one way to be sure that your opponent is finished or not going to be able to injure you further is if he's down on the ground, either unconscious or unable to continue fighting. We're going to cover the 3 levels of unconsciousness, this way it's clear. Level 1 is what's considered a TKO in boxing, where you strike a point, you'll see the person's arms drop, they get a little bit glazed in their eyes, and they basically cannot defend themselves. That would be a light shot to one of these points. Level 2 encompasses all of level 1, but the difference is their legs tend to give out, they drop to the ground, but they're still awake. And level 3 is complete unconsciousness. In training, it's sufficient to go to level 1. You strike the point lightly on your partner, you see him stumble a little bit, you know you're on the point. A little bit more focus or a little bit more power, you know you can easily take it to level 2 and 3. We're going to divide the tape into 3 parts. We're going to start in the points of the head, meaning the skull and the jaw region. Second points are going to be the neck, encompassing the front, back, and side of the neck, and the shoulder region. The third part will be the torso, front, side, and rear. Okay, the 2 things to watch out for, as in early programming, is angle, direction, most important. We want to be exactly on the point, and we want to hit it in the proper manner. So if you're a little bit off, or if you're hitting it in the wrong direction, you will not get as much of an effect. The closer you get to center, the greater the effect. As far as the size of the pressure points, even though we'll be indicating them with a dot, are approximately the size of a $50. The good news is the bigger your opponent, the bigger the points. A lot of the regions we're going to strike in the self-defense later on are going to encompass 2 to 3 points. So imagine 3 points approximately this size. Very difficult to miss a target that large. Right, let's go over the bar. We're going to start with the first point. First point we're going to use, where the lip and the jaw come together, is called the mental nerve. Right in the corner of the jaw, there's a little hole there. If you look at a picture of a skull in a textbook, there's actually 2 little holes. It's called the mental foramen, and the nerve sticks out through there. This point struck on an angle 45 degrees down and towards the collarbone, and it can also be used to press to release the neck. Later on with an assistant, we'll actually show how these techniques are applied. Traveling along the jaw, we're going to make an imaginary line straight down his eye, right on the bridge of the jaw. Most people have a little indent there, a little notch. This point's called stomach 5. This point has 2 angles. This point can be 45 degrees up and in, or 45 degrees down and in, meaning you can strike it up or strike it down. There's a very common target in boxing. Usually they target the hook punch there. The problem with that is the hook punch, if you'll notice, is coming 90 degrees in, which is actually an incorrect angle. So sometimes it drops down or sometimes it comes up and they get a good effect. But for maximum benefit, it has to come in a downward angle or an upward angle. We're going to try to continue along the same line along the jaw region where the jaw comes to an end in the corner. Right? We're going to turn him a little bit here. Behind the jaw, we have a point called triple warmer 17. This is one of the most important points of the head and neck. The reason for this is this can be struck in an angle 45 degrees back towards the jaw, but when it comes to grappling, which we'll explore later, this point is very important because it's used with fingertip pressure to turn the person's head, setting them up for other techniques. So along the jaw region, we have the mental nerve, the stomach 5 point, the triple warmer 17 point. Now, as we go a little bit higher, right underneath the cheekbone, we have a point called small intestine 18. This point can be struck in and up towards the center of his head. It can also be pressed with fingertip pressure. And again, in a grappling situation, this point becomes very important. If we focus him in the center, in his upper lip region, right over here, we have a point that's actually a rub point. It's the only rub point on the head. When this point is rubbed, the person will be forced away from you. Let's say in a tight encounter, somebody's grabbed you, we rub it, it forces him back, and it tends to set up the other points in the head region. And the last 3 points we're going to cover is a cluster of points called the Gallbladder Cluster. The Gallbladder Cluster is 3 points above the eye. The first one's directly in line with the pupil, 1 inch above the eyebrow. The second point in the cluster is directly above that point in the hairline. And the third point is directly parallel to that point and 45 degrees to the first one in the hairline as well. In order to strike all 3 of these points, a palm strike must be used to try to catch all 3 of them. Generally, you get 2 of them. You try for 3, you get 2. If you get all 3 at once, person goes right down. If you only get 2 of them, you usually get a level 1 or 2, which we discussed earlier, where the person either falls or they're just stunned and their arms drop. Okay, at this time I'm going to introduce my assistant, John. John's going to help me demonstrate the proper angle and direction and some of the striking weapons that you could use to make these points effective. First one we're going to cover was the mental nerve in the corner. First application we're going to use is to twist the neck. So let's say he's grabbed you or he's locked onto you. It really doesn't matter what the attack is for now. We're going to use our thumb and we're going to press down at a 45-degree angle. If I was to grab his head and turn it and he resisted, nothing would happen. But when I press on that point, which we're going to turn him a little bit more, and press down, it allows the neck to be spun. This, combined with grabbing the hair or just holding the opposite side, can make a nice neck takedown, but could also turn him to set up one of the other points. So imagine a situation where he was coming forward and he was grappling or struggling, and you just turn his head. You stop his motion right there. He can't go forward anymore if his head is looking that way. As far as striking applications for this point, one of the best weapons that we use is this part of the palm. So if you look at your palm carefully, it's actually divided into 2 parts, the part where the thumb is and the part where the pinky finger comes down. And there's a little bone here. And what we want to try to do is focus that bone in this motion. And we focus it to this point, in and down, in a dropping motion. So again, this can be off of, he could be punching you, you could be blocking and dropping down on it, or you could just be coming up to the point this way, be striking an arm point first, coming down on the point. But this point is struck down and at an angle towards his opposite shoulder. So if we're using his side here, it comes this way. If we're using the other side, it's going to be coming in that direction. The next point we're going to go after is the one adjacent to it, the stomach 5 point in the corner of the jaw. This point has an up and a down direction. This point can be struck down with the palm, just like the other one, but it can also be struck in an upward movement. The general guideline is if your opponent is taller than you, you want to strike in an upward motion. If your opponent is shorter than you, you want to strike in a downward motion. The main reason for that is if he was a lot shorter, it wouldn't make sense for me to go down to come up when I can just drop down. And if he was a lot taller, it wouldn't make sense to reach past the point to come down on it. So it's a matter of convenience and the shortest distance between 2 points. The stomach 5 point, when struck up and in, you actually want to aim towards his opposite eye. So the angle is this way and back. One of the features of striking this point and a lot of the points in the face and neck region is he's going to be forced to take a step backwards. Generally, anything above his solar plexus when struck forces him to take a step back. Anything below his solar plexus forces him to come forward. So when you're setting up your combination of techniques, when you strike this point, you're pretty much guaranteed that the arms are going to be away from you. Because once he takes that step back, he cannot reach you any longer. Then he actually moves out of hand range into kicking range. And that's where the leg points will come back into it. All right, we're going to continue along. So we've done the mental nerve, we've done stomach 5. We're going to do triple warmer 17, the point behind the jaw, right here. This point, no matter what position you're in, fingertip pressure is going to turn his head and control him. As long as my fingers are here, he's in a lot of pain. I'm going to show it on the other side the same way. All it is a direction back to front, like you're pulling on his jaw. You pull and press. Now, this point can also be struck, let's say a punch was coming in with that hand, if we blocked, using the fist, using the pinky knuckle on the hammer fist, striking again in that 45-degree back to front direction. And in the rare instances where you get him dropping down a little bit, it can be struck with a punching motion because, again, you're maintaining that 45-degree angle back to front. So let's say you had him in an arm bar, you could shoot right in with the knuckles into that point. So we have triple warmer 17 back there. We're going to shift from the side. We're going to go towards the front. We have the small intestine 18 points. They lay just under the cheekbone. If you squeezed his cheeks and pressed, you'd be on them. These can be squeezed as in a grappling situation. If he grabbed, we can just use it to control him. Or they can be struck with what we call an inverted punch, meaning not an uppercut, but a straight punch using this part of the knuckles. So struck this way, underneath that way. So a situation might arise where his palms were on you, we covered his arms, and you strike in this way. What you're going to notice is this motion tilts his head back and sets up his neck points, which we're going to cover later for future strikes. Everything we do in pressure points is to set up the next shot. Most of the time, again, we're going to start with the arm points first, or the leg points, work our way into the head and the neck region. The head and neck is the most sensitive, so that's generally the finishing points. Everything goes well, you hit this point, he should drop. But if he doesn't, he's set up for follow-up shots, even the one under the jaw that we did before. The next set of points we're going to cover are the gallbladder clusters. That's 1, 2, 3 points. The only real way to access all three of them is to use a slapping palm motion. So we're not going to use a palm heel, we would only hit one of them. We want to slap. And the idea is, as he's here, we take our hand, we have to contact 1, 2, 3 at the same time to get a stunning effect. And even with the light force, you could see his eyes close, he starts to stagger. The advantage in this point is in a boxing situation, if his hands are up and he's covering his jaw and he's leaning forward a little bit, that may be the only thing that you have access to. So if somebody's protecting their jaw and their neck, even this part is covered, all you have is their forehead. Maybe with gloves on, they think that you can't hurt them, but slapping into that region is going to cause either a level 1 or a level 2 knockout. As you hit them, the arms will tend to drop, exposing other points. The last point in the head region we're going to cover is the one on the upper lip. This point is not struck, this point is rubbed. If he's grabbed you, or even if it's a closer situation like a woman, he's grabbing you tight, we rub in and down, and it releases him right off of you. It requires no strength, but it requires an up and down rubbing motion, very similar to the arm and the back of the arm point previously covered. So we come in with our knuckles and we rub. We'll do it a little bit slower, and you'll notice that as you do it, the head tilts back, allowing us to come in to the stomach 5 points, which if for this didn't drop him quick enough, this one would put him down. Okay, we're going to use the bob dummy, and what we're going to do is we're going to show some of the strikes at a little bit of a faster pace. Some things to pay attention to when using pressure points: there's no cocking of the arm. We don't withdraw, we don't drop into a stance. Wherever our arms happen to be, we strike from there. The reason for this is we do not need power, we need proper angle and direction. The further your arm travels, the greater chance you're going to miss your target. So really what you want to do, if you're a few inches away from the person, you're almost guaranteed to hit what you're aiming for. Power is less important than angle and direction. So what we want is we want a nice relaxed speed, we don't want telegraphing motion, but we want to make sure we focus on the angle. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick one point at a time. The first one we're going to do is the forehead points. We're going to show the angle. Again, the angle is a slapping motion, bringing his head back this way. So if you had your hands up, you were arguing, you just slap in. Now, a real person's head isn't so shaking, so you would remain in contact. So as you hit, the head would go back. As the head goes back, either the person drops or you're set up for your follow-up shot. If you were here, that would set you up for the next point. So you're here, even if your arms are down, just shoot out in a slapping motion. And the idea is to connect 3 points of your palm. 1, 2, 3. And line them up. 1, 2, 3. And you want to try to hit them at the same time. So the motion's more of like this, very relaxed. And the wrist is kind of limp until you strike. So it's a whipping motion. So we're not doing a palm thrust. We're not hitting this way. We're relaxed. Our elbow is down, not up. And we're just thrusting forward. We're here and slap out. Next point we're going to cover, the side of the jaw, the stomach 5 point, right down, 45 degrees up and in. So instead of 45 degrees this way, we're just coming from underneath. And again, the elbow's down, the hands are here, up and in. Up here, up and in. 45 degrees. And again, a result of it with a real person, when the neck moves as you come up and in, the head's going to tilt back. Person should fall. If they don't, we've set up our next point right there. The point in the center, the rubbing point, we want to make a nice tight fist. We don't want to use one knuckle because we're going to miss. Almost like we're knocking on a door, just like this. We focus with the middle knuckle. We take the thumb out of there. All right, we'll come from this side. And we rub in and back. So we'll turn them a little bit so we can see it. We're here, and we rub. Now, when we use a rubbing motion,